Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Avarice Puma. I hope you all are doing well on this fine day. Today we're doing an off-brand review. I'm going to keep it a little bit on the safer side because I'm currently on thin ice with YouTube, so expect not a lot of crap on the screen, so sorry everybody. So, today we're revisiting a series that I previously done, but I promised I would come back to once the third and fourth part were translated. So, they've been translated, and guess what I'm doing? I'm doing Imaizumi brings all the Gyarus to his house. There's your tags, there's your runtime, and there's your source codes. So, if you guys don't need a recap, you can skip to this time where I talk about the third and fourth parts of the novel. But if you want to just stick along and want a recap of what previously happened, you can might as well get some popcorn and get some drink to sit down and listen to my ramblings and tastes. So anyway, with that out of the way, let's get this moving. So our main protagonist, Imaizumi, is walking home from something, I assume it's school, but he notices that there are people in his house. These three people are the most popular Gyarus in school. There is Reina, which is the blonde one, Yukina, which is the purple-haired one, and Ruri, which is the silver-haired one. There you go, I remember my off-brand. So these three are chilling at Imaizumi's home because it's more comfortable there than going back to their own individual apartments. And they are playing his game console, and decide to invite Imaizumi to play with them. But in true off-brand fashion, there's a penalty game involved if Imaizumi loses. So Imaizumi is actually having a good game. He's actually winning against them until Reina starts to tease him by biting his ear and starts licking him all over, and basically does all sort of perverse acts to him. And he ends up losing badly in the final rounds. So he has to be punished. So, in preparation for the punishment game, Ruri and Yukina end up going to the convenience store to pick up supplies. But Reina just chills behind with Imaizumi sitting there. Reina starts to talk to Imaizumi how she knows that he can't last long against these three Gyarus because they're the most beautiful girls in school, so that she knows that he masturbates to them basically, because she can basically smell the tint of semen in the air, which is, I don't know how the fuck that's possible. I guess people know that smell by heart, but don't look at me, I don't know. So she decides to tease Imaizumi while those two other girls are away, and decides to basically take his first kiss and decides to furiously whack him off. Those two end up getting back, Yukina and Ruri. They walk in on basically Reina straddling Imaizumi, and those two end up getting a little bit disappointed and jealous, and then notice that Imaizumi is packing some serious kielbasa. Like, good lord. Those two then demand that Reina get off of Imaizumi because they want to screw him. And those two end up basically clobbering this man, so he really doesn't last long against these two Gyarus. And then Yukina does the unthinkable. She takes his virginity, boys. Let's go! Yeah! Now, freaking Reina and Ruri are kind of pissed that Yukina took Imaizumi's virginity because they each wanted to do that. But hey, it's basically a threesome in that room. Actually, not a threesome. What's a foursome? Can someone tell me what that is? But you know. Okay, so basically, three girls, one guy. They're basically straddling this man to death, and basically, he really doesn't last long at all. So basically, Imaizumi goes for like about an hour. Actually, probably more than an hour. He basically goes on and on and on through the night, screwing each and every single one of those girls. In the morning, he basically, does the same thing. I find that quite hilarious, how this man is able to keep going and going and going. Because, you know, I think this standard man wouldn't nut like a fire hose. But, whatever, I guess. After that giant screwing session, Imaizumi gets asked why he's living alone in his own apartment. Reina, Yukina, and Ruri ask Imaizumi that, don't your parents love you and everything? Why would they send you out here by yourself? And it turns out that Imaizumi's excuse is that he's not manly enough to be out there. And they think that was a dumb excuse because clearly his sex act is clearly manly, because this man can go for like a goddamn more than 30 minutes without even nutting once. But they decide to record a video of Imaizumi screwing each and every one of them for his parents because that'll show them how manly Imaizumi is. The second part of this is how the Gyarus are training Imaizumi to be more manly. They make him do push-ups, crunches, basically all sorts of workout stuff. Imaizumi really just cracks under the weight of every single one of those Gyarus, and they promise to give him rewards, but after Yukina and Reina get interrupted in a makeout session, Ruri walks in with travel tickets to a hot springs resort. They all decide to go, and during the train ride to the hot springs resort, they tease Imaizumi by giving him more service because it wouldn't be a doujin or an off-brain without some fan service, wouldn't it be? After they get to their hotel room, they screw again in the hotel room, because why not? Because Imaizumi and the Gyarus are quite possibly the horniest fuckers I think I've ever seen. And I'm not complaining, because hey, that's plenty of good sauce for me. Each of the girls has their own alone time with Imaizumi, but particularly in this set, it's Ruri that gets the most attention because she ends up walking off with Imaizumi into a sauna, and then they screw in there, and then they get caught by Yukina and Reina, and those two end up screwing Imaizumi in the hot springs while they almost pass out due to heat. But it turns out after they screwed in the hot springs, they screw back in their room while Imaizumi just makes them... You know, I should really listen to what I say sometimes, but you know, whatever. Imaizumi keeps railing and railing and railing and railing them until they keep coming and 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 coming all over again while he doesn't. Man just has balls of steel at that point. And particularly in this end-up screw session, Reina gets the big stick. It's like gets crowned king in that one stick drawing game, basically. I don't know what I'm talking about. But Reina, basically has a mini confession, I guess. It sounds like it. I really can't show it because walking on thin ice here, but she really seems to get into a specific mood when Imaizumi's around and screwing her. And they all end up waking up in the morning while Imaizumi's getting his daily squeezing when he wakes up. Good lord. So this is the part where new territory kicks in. So if you don't want your first experience of the third novel being ruined for you, I'd rather give this a read before you hear my opinions on this. So there's your sauce codes again if you didn't see it in the beginning. But in this one, Imaizumi talks to his acquaintance, our best friend at school, how these three Gyarus keep straddling him and everything in which way, and his friend contemplates about why it wasn't him. But in reality, Imaizumi's having this weird existential crisis going on. How these three girls are eventually going to leave him after training him with, bang edge and crash edge. He gets a phone call from his mother about how he's gotten more manly and everything, but mom gets interrupted by the sex act that's currently going on. Imaizumi ends up talking to each and every one of the girls and saying that he is thankful for all that they're doing, and they tend to reward him in all these sex acts again, because apparently sex is currency in this universe as well. So these three girls end up screwing each and every single time, and they all get their own runtimes in this episode. They get jealous every time as well, so get some tension in there as well. So Yukina and Reina end up having to go to work, so Ruri gets her own alone time with Imaizumi first. So they end up screwing the whole day, while Reina and Yukina get back from work and they're still screwing, and they get pissed off that Reina and Yukina didn't get their turn with Imaizumi, and Ruri's like, tough shit. So the next day, Yukina gets her own turn in the spotlight after Yuri gives Imaizumi blue balls in the school bathroom. So Yukina decides to relieve him of his pent-up stress going on in the crotch area. And the next time, it's Reina's turn. Reina talks about how she and the other two have to leave for the whole weekend. And basically, Imaizumi is going to be all alone for a bit. And Imaizumi gets a little bit depressed about that fact. Imaizumi starts to have like an existential crisis right then and there because he was too used to the girls being around him and basically babying him a lot with sexual tension. So when they all come back, they decide to give Imaizumi a lot of their love in physical form. Guess what physical form is? It's an off-brand. Go ahead. All of them end up dressing up in catgirl costumes as well to give Imaizumi more eye candy, but you know, I think that's great looking. And that's how the third episode goes along. In the fourth episode, Imaizumi talks to the girls about how they're living together and how Imaizumi actually has to move out of his current apartment because the rent's going up. And Ruri actually gives an idea how he should move into an apartment that her dad owns. They said they will make the rent affordable for Imaizumi to not piss off his parents, but it turns out there is Reina's older sister living next by named Lisa. They all don't want Lisa to get her hands on Imaizumi. Lisa is this beautiful tall brunette with a large rack, of course it is. And then Ruri gets a little bit yandere-esque when she doesn't get her turn screwing Imaizumi, and how Lisa calls Imaizumi Chadizumi because how he got 3 beautiful girls to fall for him, and Lisa wants a piece of that ass in return as well. Ruri ends up taking Imaizumi to a love hotel and makes him lose control, while the rest of the girls end up leaving Imaizumi for the whole day because they all have their own crap to do. So Lisa ends up coming over to Imaizumi's house and basically almost gets the job on to screw him. Actually, no, scratch that. He does screw her, but it's not in the traditional way with all the rest of the girls. It's like way more passionate and teasing, like. And all 3 girls, Ruri, Yukina, and Reina, end up seeing Imaizumi and want to punish him for having sex with Lisa. And I find that utterly hilarious because they thought he was drunk and did it with Lisa because Lisa brought alcohol over, but it turns out it was non-alcoholic, so basically he has no alibi anymore. So Imaizumi decides to run away, but no, he gets caught and ends up getting an entire session of more than... Where's the clock? Let's just say about 3 hours worth of bangage, and I don't understand how that man's not dead yet. So in the morning, all 3 girls are asleep, and then Lisa suddenly crawls into Imaizumi's bed and then decides to screw him again while all the rest of the girls are still sleeping. So everyone, that was Imaizumi brings all the Gyarus to his house. So I believe that these last 2 chapters just added more wholesomeness to the factor of this story. But in the 4th episode, it added some more secretive and seductive parts in my taste, which I currently like. But I don't condone NTR cheating in the slightest. So I actually still give this one 9 out of 10. I still believe it's one of the best ones I've written because honestly, I like this vanilla Gyaru harem. And this guy's an absolute Chad that apparently can go for more than 2 hours. He goes for more than 40 minutes of screen time in the animated show by Bunny Walker. And Bunny Walker, I'm so thankful got this adaptation because I'm so concerned about any other studios getting it. I wouldn't mind Pink Pineapple getting in this as well, but you know, I'm thankful that we got Bunny Walker. So I'll probably do the 5th one if it ever comes out. But I'll give The Office some credit. They need a break because I honestly love this story to death. So anyway, everybody, my name is Avarice Puma. Thanks again for your awaited patience with me and my dealage with the strike, because apparently I get flagged for obvious reasons. So everybody, my name's been Avarice Puma. Take care of yourselves and enjoy yourself this day.